I've been doing a lot of creative finance, so I'm really good at talking to sellers into low and no money down. Just last week, I got my dad and I a 19 unit for $0 down, cash flowing day one. We also got a restaurant with it for $25K down. 3 weeks ago, I closed on a 46 unit for $20K down. Sellers holding a $1.1 million note at 0% interest. In 14 months, we started with $10,000 each, and since that, we scaled $10,000 to 32 units. You need three things for a deal to happen. You need the deal, you need an operator who knows what the hell they're doing, and you need capital. If you find a good enough deal, you can find the capital. If you find enough good deal, you can find an operator to operate it. But without a good deal, nothing's happening.
Welcome to another edition of Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Cleef, and I am thrilled that you're here. And I know you're going to enjoy the interview I'm doing today. The gentleman's name is Morgan Ehrenzeller, and Morgan has a very unique story, very young, and has already accomplished a hell of a lot. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Welcome, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rod.
Absolutely. So why don't you, give us a rundown, who you are, where you came from, and then bring us current, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Morgan Ehrenzeller. Quick and dirty about me, where I came from, small hometown, about 800 people in Pennsylvania, central PA. My entrepreneurial journey kind of started when I was 14. I started a software company, ran through with that. Me and my partners, we were making a bunch of money at the time, but we weren't an adult. So all of our third-party financial processors, like PayPal, for example, you had to be an adult to take payments. So since we weren't actually 18, they kept limiting our accounts. So at that point, as young entrepreneurs, we're about 15, 16. We're probably pulling in $1,000 a day at this point in software sales. So like, shit, how do we pivot? We're not adults. We can't take money legally. So then I came across cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So then we moved all the SaaS profits from, everything, rerouting it from PayPal and money orders and all that stuff to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was about $30 at the time. Wow. So did that, made a boatload of money there, kind of an accident as well. Right. Obviously with
what's it now, 30,000? From 30 to 30,000?
It's like 104,000.
Oh, no shit. God, I don't pay attention to it anymore, but
wow. Yeah. So we made a lot of money there. And then I bought my first duplex when I was 17 on seller finance with
NPA.
Yep.
Okay.
$5,000 down, seller finance.
Nice.
Went to college, Bloomsburg University, graduated college in 2020. Last semester of college, I went to a foreclosure auction, bought a house for $10K, went $17K of sweat equity into it. And then after got it refinanced, it was worth $126. And at that point I was 21, 22. And I was like, shit, I just picked up $100K in 3-4 weeks. Then it clicked with me, real estate.
Could be something here.
Yeah. Then it clicked, and it's like, where I'm at in my life, 22 years old, I don't come from money. I don't come from a pristine university. I'm not a Yale or a Harvard graduate, or I don't come from investment banking. It clicked as like no other job or industry is going to do that for me at this point in my life. So that was the really first nice check. And then
an epiphany as well.
Yep. And then I ran with it.
Yeah. So why didn't you have your parents help you?
My parents don't have money. I didn't have a rich uncle.
Oh, so you couldn't use them for the PayPal thing or anything? You just didn't want to, or what?
Well, they're very risk adverse. So like
it.
my dad, he doesn't want none of his stuff online. Like even if we go to buy something online, he's so hesitant to give like his credit card or debit.
Got it. And I know the personality type. Okay. I was just curious because that's what I would have done. I said, hey, let me put the PayPal in your name and, move on. Let me ask you this. Did you have any mentors back then? How did you learn how to do a flip and all that?
No, I didn't have mentors, but my dad was a third generation carpenter.
Okay.
So ever since I was young, he had me holding the flashlight. So I remember I was probably 9 years old. I was redoing a roof with him up in New York. I actually fell off a roof when I was about 9, redoing a roof with him. So he had me working with him at a very young age. And in hindsight, with what I do now, it's extremely valuable.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you start at the bottom and construction from the inside out, nobody can bullshit you.
That's huge. Yeah, I know with my warrior coaching students, when I find out they come from a construction background, I'm like, man, you've got a leg up because you're not going to get screwed by a vendor, and you're going to know how to price things out. You're going to know how to know if somebody is playing around with you, and there's a lot of that in that arena So no, that's fantastic framework for this. And so now you're at 439 doors, and a lot of those you own privately.
Correct.
And you're in how many states?
In 9 states.
9 states. And the average size, what is your target size asset?
Right now, I've been doing a lot of creative finance. So most people, obviously familiar with traditional. So I'm really good at talking to sellers into low and no money down. So right now, my bread and butter is 25 to 75
units.
So like example, just last week, I got my dad and I 19 unit for $0 down, cash flowing day one. We also got a restaurant with it for $25K down.
Wow.
Just recently, I got 3 weeks ago, I closed on a 46 unit for $20K down. Sellers holding a $1.1 million note at 0% interest.
Where? Just where are these?
West Liberty, West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
It's like an hour.
So how are you finding all these deals all over the place? Where do you hunt?
It's a lot of setting up inbound funnels. So like most people, are familiar with the driving for dollars, looking on Zillow Realtor. That's an outbound approach.
Right.
I don't like doing outbound marketing. So I like inbound. So I set up funnels and, subscribe to wholesalers, buyers lists, things like that. So every morning I wake up, my email is flooded with deals. So then I have my VA go through, filter these out, teach them, some basic underwriting. If it hits a certain criteria, send it to me, and then I dig into it.
So you email wholesalers, flippers, you bought these lists, you email them, say, send me your deals?
I don't buy the list. It's all organic. I don't spend $1.
How'd you get the list?
It's just a matter of a lot of networking.
Okay.
And like them adding you to their buyers list. So like
Gotcha.
when they get something, they go and they mass.
So how'd you find them in 7 different states? I mean, how'd you do that? I'd like to get into some more detail here.
Yeah, so that's all the wholesalers. They're doing all the legwork here.
No, I got that, but how'd you find them is my question. How'd you find these wholesalers in other states?
So it's just a lot of networking, honestly. A lot of networking and a lot of online.
So where did you network? Did you go to meetups in these states, or what did you do?
Facebook groups, masterminds, events, webinars, seminars.
And you're just good at capturing people's information, putting it into a database, and putting them on an email list.
Well, they do that for me.
Oh, they do it for you. Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Because they're sending me the deals.
Gotcha.
I'm not sending them the deals.
Because you're the buyer. Yeah, because I have people in my Facebook group sometimes throw, hey, if you're looking for a deal, they tease this phenomenal deal to get the information. Okay, all right. Okay. So and I love the framework. So you have your email full every day. Your VA checks that, she does a screening process, sends you the ones that are worth doing, and you're good at talking to sellers. And this is something I teach in my boot camp, by the way. So it's great that we're having this conversation so people hear it from someone other than me. Yeah. Do you deal with a lot of elderly sellers?
I do.
Yeah. And do you, let me ask you this question. Do you focus on the relationship first before you get into the property? Yes. Do you bond with them first?
Absolutely. You got to build a rapport.
Yeah. That's so important. The seller bonding is so critical. I've done deals nothing down. I've done deals where I haven't made a payment for a year because the property needed so much work. But if you build that relationship and you build that trust, then you can create win-win situations. Not to take advantage of them, but to really create win-win situations, right?
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and most, you correct me if I'm wrong on this. Most retirees, they're not going to take that money they made from that investment they've had for 20 years and throw it into another high-risk investment. It's going to go in the bank, and what's the bank paying in interest, right? So if you can communicate to them, plus they're going to get killed in taxes. And so, if you tell them, hey, if you work with me, I'll pay you monthly. You're not going to get a big tax hit. You're going to pay tax on what you get that year. And your payment from me is going to be a lot more than you're going to get from a bank because you can work with the interest rate or the payments if you want to. But you agree with all that framework?
You hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
And then to mention, to piggyback on the elder one, I just had one where I was walking them through the taxes situation. Like, hey, I was like, what do you really want here? They're like,
right. You got to find out what their outcome is. Right.
It's sales 101 is all
Right.
it is.
Right.
Find the pain and tie the value to it.
Right.
And they wanted their kids to remember all the hard work that they did. So, I walked them through the tax implication, like, you're going to get bent over the barrel here with taxes.
Right.
And I said, what do you think's, your kids, say example, you do a seller finance situation with me, I'm going to pay you more than the bank's paying you.
Right.
Well, you think your kids are going to remember every single time they get a monthly check from me.
Right.
They're going to remember you every time they get.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. It's not a one-time hit. They're going to think about you every single month. Oh, that's beautiful, brother. I love that one. Oh, that's a good one. Guys, write that one down. That's a good one. Okay, love. So we're going to take a quick break from this incredible episode for a word from our sponsor, my incredible freaking Warrior program. Are you thriving or just surviving? If you're just surviving and you need to escape the rat race and propel your life forward, you have to take action. You actually have to do something, right? Now, if you haven't heard, I've got this amazing mentorship program. My students are called my Warriors, and at last count, they own somewhere between 190 and 200,000 units that we know of. It's an extraordinary group of people that are just flat out crushing it in multifamily. If you'd like to apply to our amazing Warrior program, text the word CRUSH to 72345. And we'll set up a call. You can look us over, we'll look you over, and I can promise you, even if you don't join the program and it's not a fit, you're going to leave that call better than when you got on it. So again, text the word CRUSH to 72345, and you and I will speak soon. All right, let's get back to it. And it's really, it's all about asking the right questions. You know, why are you selling? What have you tried to do that didn't work? Why do you think the property hasn't sold? Because they'll tell you what's wrong. That's seller financing is fantastic, and you know, what way to freaking capitalize on it. And I know you've done a little bit of syndication, you said as well, right? You're just getting going in that. What's next? Are you planning to do more? You're going to continue doing what you're doing here, I would guess, because that seems to be working well.
So the syndications and the funds, I do that, but I think everyone, paints this big sexy picture on it. Like a lot of these low to no money deals down, like 20K down, I know another 46 unit for 120K down. I can find capital very, very easy. And that 146 with 20K down you mentioned about no payments for a year.
Right.
That's actually what I got to on that one. No payments for 18 months at 0%.
Wow.
So I can find capital very, very easily to keep things privately and not, selling it as a security.
Just do a joint venture, exactly. In other words. Right. By the way, guys, a joint venture is when both people are active to some extent. Okay. You can't take money from someone unless they've got. So, maybe your partners have some decision-making capabilities, like you can't spend more than a certain amount of money. You're nodding, yes?
Yep.
Okay. That's how I worked mine. If you take money from someone and just offer them a return, you have to syndicate. Otherwise, you're in violation of the SEC. But
yep. So, yeah, a lot of these investors, they want to learn it. So,
okay.
So like they're flying out to the properties with me,
doing the due diligence with you. Got it.
Yep, they're on the property management calls every week because they, at the end of the day, one, they want to know about their investment, what's going on with it, and two, they want to learn.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, and I would just tell you, I'd encourage them to communicate thoughts on those calls. I'd record the calls just to play it safe, and or take notes on the calls. Have a note taker where they're actually actively involved, because they have to be actively involved. That's the key piece here. Yeah. But it sounds like if they fly out to the property, they're active. But again, if they're on the calls, I'd recommend that to you. What suggestions would you have, Morgan, for I have a lot of listeners that haven't taken action yet. They know they want to do this, and they're just sitting on the sidelines. Maybe fear, maybe limiting beliefs holding them back. Maybe they're comfortable, but they know they don't want to be in the same place they are right now, say 1 or 2 years from now. What would you say to them?
I would say everyone does that, and every big leader they've all experienced the fear, and they, at the end of the day, when they first started, they didn't know what the hell they were doing either, but they did it anyway. And I think, if you really can't get over that triumph, how you get confidence is by doing things, just like you go to the gym, you do reps, you build the muscle. So if you can't get over that fear, what I would recommend is find that person who's doing what you want to do or is living your lifestyle and go work for free for them. Now you're going to build the reps up, you're going to build the muscle up, so in 6 months or a year you already know the next step. I see a lot of people, they think they need to know the whole staircase, but you don't need to know the whole staircase. You just need to know the next step ahead of you, or know someone who knows that next step ahead for you. Yeah,
or get in a group of people that are doing it. I will tell you, go to your local meetup groups. You're going to meet these wholesalers. You're going to meet flippers. You're going to meet people that are long of tooth that just want to help. And there are a lot of people, these meetups, they're old and they just go and they're happy to put their arm around you and help you with stuff. And of course, things like my Warrior program. I mean, my students now own, I think, around 250,000 units. We're doing a count again. Something I'm super proud of, and they're all done between warriors. So you want to be around people that are doing this business. Rising tide lifts all ships. So you want to get in that kind of a group. So what do you think is your biggest personal success, greatest personal success, or even professional, professional, both?
Personal and professional success so far, for me personally, I didn't come from a lot, and what I'm trying to break my parents free and everyone in my family free of the rat race. I'm the only entrepreneur in my family. And last year, November, not last year, 14 months ago, I finally got my dad to start investing with me and got him off the sidelines and into real estate. Because when I first started in real estate, he was the first one that told me I was going to fail. Yeah. So that lit a burning fire inside of me in my young 20s to prove him wrong.
Good.
So having him, see everything I've built, and so he watched it and seen it all happen, I was finally able to get him off the sidelines. And since in 14 months, we started with $10,000 each. I told him, I'll match everything. Let's match it 1-to-1. We started with $10,000 14 months ago, and since that, we scaled $10,000 to 32 units.
No kidding.
Yeah,
no
and
kidding.
This is probably he's probably going to retire here in June.
No kidding. Perfect.
Yep, so that's,
Perfect.
a year and a half, I was able to do more for him than his job did in 20 years.
It's so rewarding. My parents were too old to actually start investing, but I took them on cruises, bought them a car, bought them a house down here in Florida, and nothing more rewarding than that. So let me ask you this: everybody thinks it's just all roses and glory. They see the duck floating on the top. They don't know that the legs are furiously pedaling on the bottom. But talk about some of the I call them seminars, failures. Or setbacks, big setbacks. I call them seminars. Like when I lost 50 million in 2008, that was a big ass seminar. But that's what we call them, because it's only a failure if you don't get back up, you don't get the lesson. But talk about maybe some setbacks you have, or a big one, and if you feel like there's a learning opportunity, a teaching opportunity in it.
Yeah, I'll give you one that literally just happened 2 days ago.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And by the way, guys, he has a whole menu of them, as anybody that does this business does, right? I mean, you could literally probably go through and list 100 of things, but okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, I had one 2 days ago. We have me and my partner, we had an 11 unit. This partner, he's boots on the ground, more green in the face, was an investor, but also wanted to do the active role to learn. So, we've had these 11 units since about September. Back in September, I was asking him to go get some insurance quotes. He got some. I linked him to my insurance guy. We got the insurance chopped in half from my contact. So I said, I'm not going to say his name, but partner, can you make sure this gets signed and tidied up? That way we have insurance right when we got the building. He's like, yep, I'm on it. I'll get that done today.
And you missed it.
2 days ago, got a call from the property manager that, hey, your apartment complex is on fire. So meanwhile, we just turned one of the units. I budgeted about $20K for it. We came in at $11K, so I was thrilled. This was last week. I was so excited. We're going to hit this out of the park. We're under budget. Things are going good. Get the call, the fire. I'm like, okay, shit. We're turning the rest of these units. We may get a little break. No one's hurt. Thank God. That was the first thing.
How many units? Just in one unit?
So there's an 8 unit and then a 3 unit directly beside it. So 2 dwellings, an 8 and a 3. And then
both buildings got heavily damaged?
Just the one.
Okay.
And it happened from a street fight outside.
What?
It wasn't even our tenants.
Oh,
they
geez.
lit a blanket on fire and threw it under our apartment complex.
Oh my God.
Long story short, insurance was never signed and binded.
Oh my God.
So I guess, but I think God was watching over, because how this broke out, the fire burnt one of the hot water heater water lines.
Okay.
So that helped contain it drastically, because water was just pouring from it. So that helped contain it.
How many units were damaged?
2 units were damaged.
Okay.
And it's only going to be probably $5,000.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
wow. Okay, there's a lesson to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Exactly.
And trust but verify. That's another lesson there, right?
That's the lesson.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. That's
Yeah.
that's my fault for not asking for the declaration page.
Yeah.
I should have asked for the declaration page because I'm more seasoned.
Yeah.
And verified that was binded. So he
Well,
was devastated, and he's like, I'll take the loss for it. I'm like, no, we're partners. When we win together. When we lose together.
Oh, that's an awesome attitude. Yeah, that's an awesome attitude. So, what's your favorite part of this entrepreneurship role that you're doing? What do you love the most?
I love the thrill. Honestly, I like real estate a lot from all aspects. I like the deal hunting, the negotiations. I like negotiating, shaving stuff down. I like taking a piece of poop and making it look beautiful.
Yeah, and then sometimes that's a pretty accurate analogy, right?
Yeah, so I really just love all aspects of it, and I feel like it's my purpose. That this is what I was meant here. So
great answer.
When you feel like it's your purpose, I feel like it. I really don't feel like I work. I love what I do.
Guys, if you can find what you love, and if it's not multifamily, for God's sakes, go do something else. If it's not real estate, I'm starting to teach other asset classes now. We do senior housing, industrial flex space, self-storage, mobile home parks. I'm starting to do a lot more different things. But if you don't like any of those things, for God's sakes, go find something you like to do, because then you can identify and connect with a purpose, and that's what life's about. The purpose of the purpose of your life is to find your purpose and then live your purpose. And when you love what you do, work is play. You never work another day in your life, right? And you're passionate, and when you're passionate, you have the ability to influence people like you do every day with these sellers, and I'm sure partners that invest with you because they can see the passion and they want to be around it, and they want to work with you, invest with you, and sell to you, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I'm really glad you brought up purpose. So, is it just you? Do you have any other people on your team? You got a VA. Who else? Is there anyone else that you've aligned with other than these partners that come in and maybe with some cash?
Partners, as far as like my in-house team, it's really just solely me and my VA that helps with a lot of the back end and admin work. But a lot of these partners are active, so by all means, they help a lot with the heavy lifting. It's not just solely me.
Do you try to find partners that live in the state you're buying in?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I have a lot of capital sitting on the sidelines that people want to do deals with me. Mm-hmm. So when I find a deal towards a particular partner, I try and align that so then they are close to the asset. So that's generally how I've been.
Oh, that's smart. Super smart strategy. Super smart. You just like to network then. So you get out there, you get out there, you get information from people, you connect with people. I tell my warriors, my coaching students, that's the most important thing you can do. It's more important. Who you know is more important than what you know. You agree?
I at first, yes, but I feel like you also have to have the resources when you get that network that you can really start executing the network.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, sure.
But absolutely, your network is your network.
That's it. It's absolutely accurate. Yeah, I mean, sure. You've got to be able to figure out how you're going to add value to the people you network with. Maybe you find deals like you do. Maybe you raise money like you do as well. But you can do one or the other as well. I have students that do one or the other, and very, very successfully. So, I mean, you're still wet behind the ears. You're 27. I like to ask the question, if you could tell 18-year-old self something, I would like to still get your answer. If you could, knowing what you know now, what you've done already, is there anything you would do any differently?
Yeah, I would say not to let external factors influence decision making. How I was brought up, was jammed down my throat. You got to go to college, get a degree. That's why you have to be successful.
Right.
Obviously, if I know what I know today, I would have just went straight into real estate and doing what I'm doing. I'd be much, much, much further. But if I could rewind that to get caught up to speed at a much quicker rate, I would, like I mentioned earlier, find that person and work for free for them for 1 to 2 years. Because then you bypass a lot of the pain and the mistakes where you're tripping and falling, and you speed up at an accelerated rate of your education. And then too, like when you serve the table enough, you eventually get a seat at the table.
Sure. Well, I will tell you, that's fantastic. That's not always easy because not a lot of people need help. I get that. By the way, I get asked that all the time, just so you know, all the time. Can I come work for free? But you can also align or partner with someone that's done it. You can add value to them in some fashion, find the deals, maybe help raise some money, maybe do some of the legwork. And yes, you're doing it for free, but you can take the partnership approach as well. And I know, again, that's why I suggest you get around people that are doing this. You're very motivated. What's the driver there? What's the why? Why do you have this growth mindset? Where's that coming from? Is it coming from the past? Okay. Yeah, you're nodding. Okay.
Yeah. So okay. I remember, I was 13 years old, and I was so embarrassed to have so we grew up really, we didn't have a lot of money at all, and we had a hole in our bathroom floor, and I was so embarrassed to have kids or friends over at that point. And that was my why. Wow. Because I wanted to change my bloodline, and I wanted my future family to never live like that or, be in that situation. So that was my why. It's still my why.
It's a hell of a motivator, isn't it?
Because I don't want to go back to that, to being broke.
No, I feel you. I wore clothes from the Goodwill until I was 14. I lied about my age and got a job at Burger King flipping burgers because I was tall. And, that embarrassment, of not having and it's a real motivator. It's a negative motivator, but it's a motivator. Okay, so that's what still drives you. And I remember wanting to go to my 20-year reunion and being somebody. That was also, it's embarrassing to admit, but that was a real motivator for me because
I can't wait for my 10-year coming up.
Yeah. So same. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, I hate to burst the bubble. It's a big letdown because nobody really gives a shit. But but it's a driver, right? So let me ask you this. What's some of the best advice you've ever gotten? We talked about some of the worst advice. And by the way, this is all resonating with me. My dad worked for Continental Airlines for 36 years. He used to tell me, go get a real job, get a real pension. My mom got $697 from his freaking pension a month. Doesn't even pay rent. Yeah. And he worked for Continental for 36 years and got laid off. Yeah, so there's no job security. Your job security is between your freaking ears. Right. But what's some good advice you've gotten, if anything comes to mind?
One thing I got when I was younger, a kind of a mentor when I was doing software told me, Morgan, good things come to those people who have patience. Mm-hmm. And I stuck with that throughout my life. And it's generally very true to a degree. And also, even if a deal doesn't work out, in hindsight in the future, that may be the best thing that's happened.
Sometimes the best deal is the one you don't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know about the patience thing, man. That's my worst quality. I'm so freaking impatient. But
but I could see a flip side to that because you have to have patience, but also you have to have executional skills. Yeah. And
you got to take action. You got to take action. You can't use that line to procrastinate and not do a damn thing. Yeah. But did you have any fear when you first got started, or fear when you did a larger deal? Any fear pop up? And if so, how did you deal with it?
That's a really good question. So I remember my first one. Obviously, I grew up in construction a little bit. I knew that I could figure it out. Everything else I did, starting a software company as a teenager, I had the mindset, if I can figure this out, I can figure, some freaking drywall out. And
see, that's, guys, I just want to flag when you say something profound, because when you're looking at stuff, if you can look back at previous successes and acknowledge those successes, how did you breathe? How did you look? How did you feel? And bring that to today. It helps you push through new so-called fears. And what is fear? F everything and run? I think it's false evidence appearing real, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So to continue. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good there. So yes, there was fear at the beginning. Absolutely. But I had the mindset, I was just getting out of college. All my friends were going to the city, renting the nicest apartments, buying the new cars. I knew that was, the wrong move at that time in your young 20s. I knew that was going to, get you stuck in the rat race. Mm-hmm. So I kind of took the mindset approach. Okay, I'm making money. I'm stashing it in the bank. What am I going to do? Go piss away, buy a new car, rent the nicest apartment in the city. I grew up without shit. I didn't have shit. So none of this stuff really matters to me anyway. I really don't care. Right. So I just had the mindset, have it in the bank and lose money to inflation year over year, or buy a piece of real estate that's going to be bringing money in. So I just had it clearly defined in my mind when I was starting out, what's the worst of the two evils? Right. You can't really, if it's just sitting in the bank doing nothing, I would rather park it in an asset.
So you had this realization at a young age.
Yeah. And then too, at that point, I was, the old saying, 90% of millionaires are made through buying and holding real estate. So
yeah. 90% of the millionaires, guys, either made their money in real estate or put their money in real estate. So, I mean, that's a clue. That's what we call a clue.
Yeah. So then too, when I was like 14 and started bringing all that money from the software, I realized too, every wealthy or rich person I knew was involved in real estate in some way, shape, or form. So that's when I bought the duplex, because I didn't know what to do with money I was coming in at a young age. And I literally just like, all right, I'll push myself off the cliff. I'll learn it.
Okay. You rationalized is what it sounds like when I think back, because the question was, how did you push through the fear? And you just literally rationalized it logically is how you did it. Basically, for yourself. Yeah, that's good. No, that's really good. Do you have any, who inspires you? Like,
who inspires me?
Yeah. Anybody public that you'd talk about?
Not necessarily public. My dad inspires me a lot.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Yeah.
Some of my partners inspire me a lot. Like, I meet a lot of really successful people, like very, very successful people, ones who have, did mergers with billions of dollars of mergers with like very public people with like Jay-Z, for example, stuff like that. But I see, the mansions, the houses, the cars. That doesn't impress me. What impresses me is if you have really good core family values. If, the grandparents and the grandkids and all the kids are really whole as a family, because that's something that's decades and generations of work that can't be bought.
Okay, what motivates you then if it's not material things? What's your ultimate outcome? What motivates you then?
I just want to be better I want to be 1% better every single day. I want to be better, and I want to provide more for my family.
Okay.
That's
a good motivator.
That's,
that's a good motivator.
That's what it is.
So if you were going to give high school graduates some books to help them on their path, what are some books you might give them?
I would start them with leadership and mindset books.
Okay, like?
I first, probably everyone who's listening to this probably read The Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Of course.
The Millionaire Next Door.
That's a good one.
Never Split the Difference.
Oh, Chris Voss, I've had him on the podcast.
Yep. And then, as you're scaling a little bit further, I would, recommend Buy Back Your Time.
Who's that?
By Dan Martell.
Okay, yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah, he talks, really about solely focusing on your highest dollar per hour tasks.
I'll throw some in too. Of course, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends, Influence People from a sales standpoint.
It's a good one.
I've given away, I think, over 5,000 copies of Think and Grow Rich.
It's a good one.
Do you have any flaws or weaknesses that you discovered that you turned around that contributed to your success?
Do I have any flaws or weaknesses?
I mean, in your journey that you identified that contributed to your future success, anything come to mind?
I was saying giving my time up to people.
Giving your time up. People, time suckers.
Yes.
Okay, well, they're there. So when you have, I'll tell you what I did, by the way, because I used to get that a lot. When I had 800 houses, I'd get people at meetup groups that I'd go to and say, how'd you do it? I'm like, really? I mean, you think I can tell you here in 5 seconds? So I copied these CDs from one of my mentors, and I said, here, listen to these, and then come back to me. Nobody ever came back. It's a true story. I probably did that 50 times. I'm not kidding. But so how do you deal with somebody that comes and wants to ask your opinion? What do you do?
I try to, if it's someone that I know personally and that I've brought up, absolutely 100%, I will always, try and respond. But on the caveat, I'm extremely freaking busy throughout the day. Like I don't have time to reply to every single person. I physically can't help it.
Like on social and stuff, you mean?
Yeah, I can't help every single person. One thing that it reminds me of what you just said. I just started a free course at Dynasty Dwellings. So now I'm going to start, mentioning like what you did here. Take this and run with it.
Okay.
But
okay. Fair enough. What are you not good at?
A year ago, I would say raising capital. I mean, obviously, there's still room for improvement, but a year ago, 25, check sizes would be 25 to 50K to raise. I mean, now I made a call 2 weeks ago. I raised 2.3 million.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. From one person?
Yeah.
Be careful that they follow through. That's a big hit for one deal. Be careful, because that can really hurt you if you get close to the closing date and something happens. So just cautionary tale there, because we've seen it. And that's why we always overraise by at least 25%. because you get to the finish line and somebody like that backs out, you're effed.
Yeah, he's an active partner. It's a JV one. It's a 100 unit.
Okay.
But yeah, we both put an EMD in, so he has skin in.
Oh, he's got skin in the game too. Okay.
And he's an attorney. In 2020, he had a big HVAC and plumbing business. He sold it to a Fortune 500 company and did a 9-figure exit.
No kidding. Good for him. Good for him. He's got the money. Okay, fair enough. Just a little caution there, guys. If you're raising money and you get somebody who says, "Yeah, I'll put in $500,000," like, oh, in some cases we won't take it, because it's just too risky, because if they change their mind for some reason, and you get to the finish line, it's a hurt. Yeah, actually, if it were $1 million, I'd say we'd be cautious, really cautious, and might not do it. So just be careful with that. The other thing is, if any LP invests too much money, sometimes they have to sign on the debt, which can be a problem. So you got to be careful with that as well. That's a factor. So do you consider yourself a leader?
Absolutely.
So what do you think is one or two characteristics that a leader should possess?
Integrity during the dark and the light.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, especially in this business, because shit goes south, sideways all the time. Not all the time, but it happens.
Right.
And, it never goes 100% to plan.
Right.
So, having integrity in the light and the day, or the day and the night, I think is an absolute.
That's our number one core value in all my companies. Do what's right even if it hurts.
Yep.
And so, yeah. Okay. That's really good. It's really good. You talked a little bit about this, but I'd like to expand on it a little bit more. Well, actually, I was just going to ask you what you gave up to get where you are, but I think you did talk about it. You didn't do the fancy apartments. You didn't buy the cars, and I did all that stupid shit. Actually, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment for free. That's not true, because I had this business that I had these big cold air balloons I'd put on the roof. It said move-in special, and I'd put it up once a month. I'd get free rent at this apartment complex. But I did buy the Maserati and the Rolls and all that stupid shit when I had the money. But yeah, I would caution you not to do that, guys. Don't do that until you have the money from cash flow and all that.
That's a really good point, though, because people, like you mentioned, they ask all the time how you did it, but it's not necessarily how you or what you did, it's what you didn't do. So all my friends, they're out buying the new freaking Jordans, or they're buying tickets to Coachella. They're going on 3 trips a year. I didn't do any of that. I was eating hot dogs, rice, and beans for 3 years straight to keep my food budget as minimal as possible. I remember my first house, the boiler broke. This is in Pennsylvania, so the boiler had our hot water, our heat, everything. Yeah, and I was at house number 3 or 4, but I was 23 years old. All my money was going into my rentals. My rental properties were nicer than my house, but my boiler bill blew, and I didn't have money. My girlfriend and I, we didn't have money to fix it. So we were showering at Planet Fitness for 3 weeks because we didn't have hot water.
Wow.
We were living at very, very, very below our means, because at the end of the day, my tenants came first before I did. So
that's some real discipline, brother.
So it's not always what you did; it's what you didn't do as well.
A lot of people aren't sure how they can get into this business because they don't know what skill or superpower they can bring to it. What do you feel is your superpower that you brought to this?
I think that's a really good question. And I think, you need 3 things for a deal to happen, right? You need the deal, you need an operator who knows what the hell they're doing, and you need capital. So what I did when I first started, and this is kind of my area, my bread and butter, is I'm the deal guy, finding the deal. And I think too, if you're first getting started, you don't have operational experience and you don't have money, or you haven't built up that network where you can raise money. If you can find the deal, everything starts with the deal. If you find a good enough deal, you can find the capital. If you find enough good deal, you can find an operator to operate it. But without a good deal, nothing's happening.
Well, that's really good advice. You're dead right. If you've got a good deal, you can always find the money.
Yeah. So finding the puzzle pieces and matching them together.
Nice.
And that's what I really focused on, was the deal, and I still focus to the deal. And once you're known as a guy that gets a lot of really good deals and creative deals, everyone wants to start partnering with you.
Yeah. So if you could mandate that schools taught something that they're not teaching now, what might it be?
Financial education.
Yeah.
But the government doesn't want that.
No, the whole rich dad, poor dad stuff, teaching all that stuff. I agree completely. Entrepreneurship and finance, it's a travesty that they're not teaching that. I agree completely. So do you have any like morning rituals that you do every morning to get yourself going, or you just get going?
I think that's a really good point. I personally, I think once you start, noticing, like, notice my flow state of mind is in the morning.
Right. Same here.
So when you start to uncover and really analyze how you work as a person, and you can identify where you're performing at your highest and structuring your calendar around those, I think is very crucial. And one of the things that helps me get into a flow state of mind, I think it's maybe because I think I have a little bit of ADHD too. But I like going to the gym in the mornings to exhaust the body, to tame the mind as well. So I like going to the gym in the morning. It clears my head. It gets me ready. It gets me ready for my asset management meetings. And I think it's overall good for the brain and, as a person.
No question. It doesn't work for me. I like to use it to end the day.
To end the day?
Yeah, for me, I do it at like 5 o'clock before I eat, and that winds me down. Yeah. So that's a little different. But I do a cold plunge in the morning, except I didn't the last couple of days. It's just too freaking cold out there. It's like crazy. They got 7 inches of snow in Panama City. Are you kidding me?
I think there was snow this morning in Tampa.
In Tampa? No shit. Good Lord. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, listen, brother, I really appreciate you coming down. You've really added tremendous value, and very impressed. And you need to circle back with me in a year or two, and let's see where you're at then, because I know it's going to be impressive.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Rod.
Of course, bud.